Hey all, this is Evin Schwartz over at Thinkering Collective. We're super excited this week to be on site at AASL and have some great members of the community joining us to share a little bit more about the conference, what's taking place in education today, and also what do we need to know about school librarians. Carolyn, great to meet you here today. Why don't you introduce yourself and give us a little background just on you and the work?
Hi, I'm Carolyn Vibbert. I'm a library specialist in Northern Virginia, and this is my 20th year as a school librarian. I've been involved with AASL since attending my first conference in 2009, and I'm just excited to support the work that librarians do around the country, and of course to support my own librarians in my own area. I love to be a librarian cheerleader. Could not have done this job without my mentors when I started. So it's absolutely essential to me to be helpful to the librarians around me, to answer questions and to be a thought partner. It's one of my favorite parts of the job. And of course, students and readers are also very important to me, but it's the community of educators that we are that keeps me going.
Carolyn, I love it. And I love how you just said mentors, because that's something we hone in on so deeply at Thinkering Collective. We think it is such an under-resourced area of education today. Regardless of age, regardless of years in the practice, give us an example of some mentorship in your life and, how it's impacted where you're at today.
As you know, we are often the only librarian in our building, and sometimes in smaller divisions, we might be serving more than one school. And so that can keep us very busy and very isolated. And so when new librarians join my division, or even when I meet new librarians at a conference and they say, "Oh, I'm new to my school and I don't really know anyone yet. Here's my email address." No question is too small. No question is too silly. I'm here to help. And I know that we all have to work through answers to questions ourselves, but sometimes you just need that person. You just need that person who is there to help you because sometimes you just get a little challenge. You just need support getting past that challenge and on to what you need to do next.
Absolutely. And talking about the work, tell us what people should know about school librarians these days, right? It's 2025, almost 2026. It is a crazy time in education. I've always found the general public thinks the school librarian is the same as your public library librarian, pushing the cart and finding the index. And I'm probably dating myself even on these terms. But what do we need to know about this as an
Right?
industry?
School librarians do everything, absolutely everything. We are more than the card catalog. We are more than story time. Those are still essential pieces of our work. We couldn't do our work without quality collections that are well organized because we need to be able to connect students to resources. So that is still an essential. We might use the computer catalog to organize and access now and not the card catalog. And we definitely connect students to quality literature, to authors, to stories. And so story time is still an essential part of what we do, but we're also so much more than that. And as we move into this era of AI integrated tools, AI education, and AI work, we need to have our students and our community and our citizens and all of our people who understand the foundation of what quality information is and how to access quality information. That academic integrity is still really important. The ethical piece, librarians model ethics in so many ways and really support students with that. We do a little bit of everything. We're always connecting, we're always pulling pieces from one side of something to another side and finding that magic spot of helping students learn new things or find a new author or find a new book. It's
And
magical.
with that, and I agree. I think, the school librarian is the go-to for kids. It's that person that we all need, right, at the end of the day to help guide our learning journey. And I think that's one of the hardest things in education today, especially with AI, of it's not the sage on the stage anymore, right? It's really hard for educators to let go of the reins, and rightfully so. What education has been for the last decades upon decades upon decades. But from the school librarian perspective, it's to guide and inspire the community.
Right.
And we've seen that worldwide, which is why we're so excited about this conference. What do you think? happens, or how does this role evolve over the upcoming years with the advancement and just where we're at as a society with technology right now?
I have no idea. And we all wish we could predict the future
We
a
do.
little bit. We move so fast, our technology moves so fast, and I think librarians can really help slow some pieces down and really try to frame situations and learning experiences so that students have context. I think context is very important and really help us go a little bit slower, a little bit deeper because the technology is going to move us so fast. And so we can be the balance. I think that we really need to look for some of the balance. And as we love to learn new tools. I love to go fast, but for our students, I think they still need a lot of foundational skills. And so librarians really can have that foundation that then the cool tech tools can layer on top of to make students successful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was so interesting. I was in a school the other day and we asked 30 middle school students, what do you think of AI? And overwhelmingly, I would say probably 29 of them said they hate it.
Mm,
And they're afraid of it. They think it's making people lazy. They want more interaction and experiences, and it made us think for a minute of like, okay, education is bought into this, but who are we buying into this for? Is it for us or the next generation coming up? And something we always lean on here at Thinkering is how do we humanize the learning journey? And
yeah.
I'll ask, yeah, you go.
I love hearing that because I think sometimes people think our students are lacking a work ethic. And you just in that scenario showed that our students have a work ethic and they want to be engaged in quality instruction. They don't want busy work. I got a C in a middle school class because my teacher assigned word searches and it was a waste of my time. So I did not do them. And I was not an academic success in that class. Students know when we're wasting their time. And so I love hearing that they want that connection rather than just using the AI tool to do something that they consider kind of busy work.
So you are unpacking a giant box right now, which I love on that side. Another conversation we were having recently is like, what is the opportunity cost of school these days? And it's a really scary line to even say publicly out loud, right? Kids realize. And it's not just, hey, I want to be a YouTuber and, I'm going to make $500,000. And maybe you will. Best of luck to you. I hope that for every kid. But it's more so of this access to information, which goes back to your content and context. What are we really doing with this information? Why is it relevant to my life? I don't have to go through the traditional process anymore to be success. Like that piece of paper doesn't hold as much weight as it once did. And how do I understand my time in seat or hopefully out of seat, but within a school experience is really truly setting me up for success? And I think that that's one of the great dilemmas that the entire industry is going off right now. Carolyn, on that side too, I'll piggyback this with a much lighter question that we love to ask people. But if you could design a school library experience from scratch, what would it look like and where would you start?
You know what? I would start with our physical space because the physical space of libraries has so much to do with how we feel about libraries. I've been an elementary librarian my whole career up until where I am right at this moment. And one of the things I constantly come back to is if students aren't going to find my space welcoming, if they don't want to come to my elementary library, then they're not going to want to go to their middle school library, their high school library, and they won't take their kids to the library when they are parents. And so I think our space has a lot to do with it. So if I was starting space from the ground up, it would be very multidimensional. I am a big proponent of having living things in my library space. I have several classroom library pets. And so I would start with things like that. When you think of a traditional, or maybe now it's not traditional kindergarten library setting, I would make sure that our libraries are filled with things to explore and not just literature, that they would have kits and things that grow and sensory items. I think space has a lot to do with it, as well as integrating all the literature that would be available to them, having access to technology tools to explore. But I would really try to bring out my imaginative creative side if I designed a new library space. And I from the ground up, that's what I think would be important.
Well, it sounds like you have experience in this already. This was not just, "Hey, let me think of this off the cusp right now." Can you give me an example of some of the I'll say not necessarily the libraries, but more so of just student output, right? In those scenarios, have you seen a really creative space or experience where students are
Right.
thriving, and what does it look like?
We want students to have ownership, and I think the space is one way to do that. What activities do we have students engage in that this is their library, their learning experience, and their space? And so when I think about library design, a lot of that comes back to, how are students going to take ownership in the space? So that's what I want students to come out of it with. I mean, absolutely, do they need practice with their inquiry skills and their reading skills and all of those pieces? Yes. But to have students be able to participate in a community and have that community be theirs, the library we use the terms my and our so much, like this is my space or my classroom, but it's not. It's our students' space. And I love it when I hear students make book recommendations to each other because this is their library and they're the ones connecting over books. And when they want to take care of things or they see problems to solve, just that's what I think it makes a successful library program in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. We have a school we work with in Canada actually right now that came to us and said, "Hey, if you had a blank classroom, what would you do with it?" And one, that's a dangerous thing to ask anyone on the innovation
Yeah.
side. But the other side of it was, all right, we're going to go talk to the kids. And we went and spoke to the kids, and what is created and continues to be created now is they created a full media studio and said, we do want to be YouTubers and we wanted to learn how to podcast and stream. And most people laugh at us, but these are skills that we're going to take with us regardless of what career we're going to doctor, athlete, musician, it doesn't matter. So what we did was surround them with experts and take a step back, right? Like this is not our show. This is for them. Let them come in, and it doesn't just have to be the on-air talent. It's let's create interior design here. Let's understand STEM and echo and sound effects and all these things that take ownership. And if you're looking at it from the traditional education setting, we probably checked off 15,000 standards and curriculum points right at that end.
Right?
And these kids are really empowered and they're showing up and butts are in seats. They're feeling good about what's taking place there. You can bring the dog in too. We love dogs.
Sorry, I've got some barking
Don't
happening.
worry. Don't worry. It's great. Karen, I'll let you run after this one too. But one of the things I would say, like, that we always think about at Thinkering, we want to be collaborators, but we also know it's challenging, right, in education today. And we're going into a system that is centuries old at this point. What do you think unlocks it? And it's not necessarily the magic bullet, but what truly opens this up where learning can become engaging, interactive, experiential, all the fun stuff that what we want education to be as a collective, I feel. What's one of the biggest challenges and how do we solve it? Right?
I think the biggest challenge right now in education is the lack of play. I think our students have a play gap. And so anytime I can infuse not just what you think of, playtime in a lesson, but anytime students can make things, build things, have the time to navigate social relationships, because that's one of the gaps we're seeing along because students haven't had a foundation of play, or when they don't have a foundation of play, they're also missing out on some of the social relationship skills. So I think a lack of play is one of the biggest issues in education. If I had a magic wand to change our educational system, it would be to infuse more play back into students' lives in and outside of the classroom. And so when I plan learning experiences for students, I try to think about what will be something that's highly engaging, that resonates more on the play side with them than it does the academic side. And one of the joys of being a school librarian is we get to work within every curriculum. Any kind of standard applies. And so if I can have students making Pokemon cards, I can incorporate my standards in the inquiry process and reading joy into that. And students are getting the play experience with some of that as well.
So cool. And feel free, send me over some of those Pokemon cards. We love seeing that stuff.
They're adorable.
Yeah, best. Carolyn, I'll let you run. I know it is a tight week for you guys over at AASL, but we are so excited about this conversation, just collaboration with the organization and event. Last thing for our community, where can people find you?
Right here on my couch. No, no, no. You know what? I'm on social media. You can find me at Carolyn Vibbert. I've taken a back seat on a little of my social media, but I'm there. I'm there. And please, I love to answer questions and to be a person you can reach out to if you need me.
Love the term thinkering, and we'll definitely use it in my classroom. The kids will love it.
This is where we can be that peer support network with each other. When the big picture clicks, it's beautiful when you get administrators and teachers together.
You can't be a leader of other people if you can't first lead yourself, right?
Helps the educator have a very clear and structured framework.
Becomes this real community hub. If you're a great educator, you're looking for the most powerful moment. Can we inspire kids to believe that the world needs who they were made to be?
I hope you guys continue to uphold that legacy and continue, finding kids like you.